Sam Smathers, Chief Executive of the Fawcett Society, so a charity for women's rights. So the positive is, I guess, that the gap between pay is at its sort of narrowest for years, but there is still a gap. Why can't we just close it?
Well, it's a very stubborn gap, and we've been living with it for decades. And although it's at its narrowest, it's actually taking many, many years to close that gap. It's incremental progress, and it's a really complex problem, so it needs multiple solutions, and that's why it's hard to shift.
It's one of those solutions, this website. Is this website actually going to push forward the need to close this gap, or is it just going to cause chaos?
It's not going to cause chaos. It's going to prompt the conversation. I think that's a useful thing. We need to get people talking about pay, but what it's not going to do is equip the individual to challenge pay in their own organisation, because it doesn't tell them what their colleagues are earning. It tells them what the average is in the sector in terms of their particular role they're working in. So it doesn't actually lead to more legal cases.
But it will give them an insight into how much the average person within that industry, within their
exactly, and it will equip them to have that conversation with their employer, and that's a useful thing. The key thing that's coming is that employers are going to have to report on their gender pay gap. So they're going to have to publish that figure. They're going to have to calculate it. They're going to have to say why it is as it is, and frankly what they're going to do about it. And that's a really important thing. They're focusing the minds of employers on this really intractable problem. That's what we need to do.
One of the issues is that the criticisms of this is that actually it doesn't take into account the fact that women do a lot of part-time work, sometimes because of choice, because they perhaps, want to balance it with family life. They've maybe taken a career break and they're come back in at a slightly different stage because of that. And so, in a way, it's not a fair comparison. And the other argument is that actually employers are struggling, and in order to close the gap, they might just reduce everyone's wages.
Well, the thing about part-time work and caring for children is actually women want to come back and reduce their hours or work flexibly, but often the jobs that aren't there for them to choose, so they're forced into choosing lower paid work.
If they're not there, they're not there. The business world can't live in a fairy tale land where everyone is paid equally and dances around, loving their children. And do you know what I mean?
What it is
a
very
well
waste
to
of
say
potential.
these things, but how do businesses make them happen?
What it is a waste of potential. What you've got are women who are well qualified and experienced, trading down when they have a baby, coming back and working at lower wages.
We understand that, but how do businesses make those jobs appear? If it isn't possible to do a certain role part-time because it doesn't work for the business, what can they do about it? Well,
many businesses are doing it, actually, and what we're talking about part-time and flexible working. There's not just one way to do it. There's lots of different ways of offering flexibility in the workplace. And increasingly, the ones that do see a big business return. They get the best out of their workforce. They get loyal staff who stay, and then they save costs on recruitment and retention. And they actually get the best talent. It doesn't make any sense to just recruit from half the population at senior levels of organisations. And that's what we're doing in this country at the moment. McKinsey have calculated we will add £150 billion to our economy by 2025 if we close the gender pay gap. That's the waste of potential we have actually got in our economy at the moment, and it's women's wasted talents that we're seeing, so we have to change it.
Very interesting.
Sam Smathers, Chief Executive of the Fawcett Society.
Thank you.
Nice to see you this morning.